Okay, we are live. Welcome out there. Welcome here. And if there is anyone out there who would like to let me know that you are there, you will win a special spiritual mind treatment from me. So that would be great. Let me just adjust this there. I'm all adjusted. All right, so somebody's watching. Gary. Yes, okay, Clee. Once again, you've won a very special spiritual mind treatment, so let me know for what. And I think you've got a couple from before. And also, Kathy, you also win. So let me know. You are the winners. Bonus good through spiritual mind treatment. Why not? All right, so I've decided that this morning our opening treatment is going to be about crystal clarity. It will handle everything, right? Right. So this word is being spoken for each one, and if there is anyone that you would like to have included, or any place on the planet, think of their name or the name of that place right now in your thought, and realize that this word includes them. Because there is only one mind. There is not separate minds all over the place. There is only one mind, and it is that mind, that giant internet of operation that is thinking thoughts, and each one's thoughts are being thought as this one mind is thinking. So there is no separated thoughts. The one mind, which is the creator of all that is, uses what it is thinking to create. This entire universe and everything in it, and each one, is the result of this one mind thinking of itself. Each one is the product of divine self-contemplation. And this divine self thinks with crystal clarity, because the unimaginable and the completely ununderstandable detail of each and every form's expression is so beyond what can be contained within a human thinking thought, that clearly this mind is clear, crystal clear, to a level of detail that is unimaginable. And yet it is. And so this infinite mind thinking of itself is creating the form, the vehicle, the environment, the world, that which is being used by each one, so that each one's thought is layered upon that which the divine mind is now thinking. And so the divine mind, with its crystal clarity, is handling all of the infinitesimal details that need to be realized, what cells to be released, what cells to be created, how everything needs to be arranged. And in this amazing, intelligent detail, this divine mind is also guiding each one to always be in the right place at the right time for the greatest harmony of all that is. And somehow this mind is so harmonious and so intelligent that it is creating each one with the capacity to choose how to decorate its all-encompassing creative thought, so that each one's choices are unique and are harmonious in agreement with all the other choices that are made by anyone else, as well as in complete harmony with the choices of the divine. Each one is divinely designed to be in harmony with all that is being thought in this infinite mind. And each one knows it, because when one's conscious choices of thought are in harmony with that which is I am that I am, Life flows, it is easy, peaceful, grace-filled. Everything works out perfectly. Each one is in the right place at the right time for the highest and greatest good of all. Life is easy. Life is filled with loving, harmonious, wonderful relationships. Everything works perfectly. And the truth is, this is the natural state of all life and the natural state of each one. And so there is a clarity of thought present in the infinite mind, and each one is divinely guided as to this path of maximum harmonious experience. And so each one is already equipped with the clarity of this infinite mind, and each one is able to detect its divine guidance with clarity, with awareness, with certainty. Each one is in tune with that infinite guidance within and is crystal clear about what is guidance and what is coming from other suggestions of the world. And no matter how attractive these suggestions of the world may be, each one is now choosing this day to serve that which is guided from within. And so as a result, each one is clear, each one is focused, and each one is in perfect harmony and balance with everything. Whatever one had been worried about, concerned about, it is now erased, vanished. There is no resistance to that which one had thought. There is a renouncement. And so with each one's renouncement of that which did not come from the divine, each one is hearing with crystal clarity that which is. These ideas of the divine include love, which includes self-care, so that each one is guided in ideas from the divine about how one may experience living this life with greater peace, with greater ease, with greater happiness and greater joy. That there is a way for each one to enjoy this life more than ever before. And each one is hearing that inner guidance, showing each one the next thought to think, the next place to be, the next decision to make, the next inner acceptance of a divine truth to know. And so as a result, each one is crystal clear about this thing called life, and this thing called one's own miraculous self. This true self of each one is the divine. It's the divine's presence in, through, and as each one. And it is real. And it is filled with the infinite intelligence of this all-thinking mind, and is guiding each one into a greater experience of health, of love, of freely expressing this uniqueness that each one is, and being fully supported in all ways to this end. Life is being lived right now by each one. There is no limitation, there is no lack, and there is no loss. Each one is experiencing the fullness of this life, and the experience of this full life changes moment to moment. So different human faculties, different skills, different talents, different ideas emerge as the blessing, as the substance from which one to live and create this next moment, so that each one is flexible and accepting the wonders of the newness that comes to him or herself in all sorts of ways, and the freedom in accepting that this greater good that each one accepts is always happy, healthy, harmonious, and fully supported. This is the unfolding of this divine thinker, thinking universally, and the whole flow of the universe and everything in it is along good to greater good, expansion, opening up into newness, and individually, right where each one is, no matter where one is. And so any belief in limitation, any measuring of oneself according to the world's measurements, opinions, or so-called arguments, facts, rationale, is all by this word erased, vanished, because the freedom that each one has is the freedom to choose what to think. And what each one thinks about him or herself is the law for each one. The law. And the world is guided by this one life. The world is altered by this one life to be in harmony with that which each one is choosing, given that what each one is choosing is more health, more life, more expression, more joy, more harmony, more love, more goodness, more truth, more prosperity, more abundance, and all the good that goes with all this, and all the good that anyone can imagine. That imagining is already the thought in mind. And if it can be imagined and chosen as a thought, the law can create it. And so the world has not been created to limit or affect or infect anyone. The world has been created to serve each one in expressing that uniqueness that he or she is. And it is this one mind, the I am, that is always making sure that any one of its beloved expressions, every one of its beloved children, has complete freedom of thought. It is the divine that is harmoniously arranging the environment around each one's clear, positive, forward-moving, life-affirming thinking. That thinking that comes from listening to that still, sweet voice from within. That thinking that emerges from listening to that inner self and agreeing with it and choosing it. This is the thinking that can be chosen, and everything in heaven and earth is rearranged to cooperate with the life-affirming choices of thought that each one is making now. That's the way the universe is. And all misunderstanding of it, all big ego of it that comes from I am great, with a failure to recognize that the Father within doeth the work, is now revealed to each one with crystal clarity, so that each one is better able to listen to that divine voice within and to choose yes to life, and to lovingly make peace with all the other thoughts in one's thinking that do not come from this divine voice within. Each one is crystal clear about the thoughts that come from the divine and the thoughts that come from the world. Each one is crystal clear and chooses this day who to serve. And so each one is powerful, decisive, empowered, and inspired. Each one is clear. Each one is hearing the truth and that inner guidance. And each one is wise, making wise decisions. Those wise decisions, being intelligent, are those decisions that are in agreement with that which is saying yes to life. This is the truth. This is the experience of each one here. So I release this word now to that loving law, which must agree and make it so. And so make it so, law. And it is done, and so it is. Okay, there we go. Take us away.
This is the opening song. It's a different song.
Okie dokie.
Myself in sweet surrender, the luminous love light of the one. I open myself in sweet surrender, the luminous love light of the one. I'm opening, I'm opening, I'm opening, I'm opening.
And so, with the wisdom of that higher self, alert, awake, and speaking its guidance, speaking its truth to each of us, each one is listening and saying yes to that which we desire to experience this day. Simply saying yes to what we desire to experience and just not commenting on anything else. So let's just say yes to what we desire to experience and let the law take care of the rest.
Open myself into surrender to the luminous love light of the one. Open myself into surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I'm opening, I'm opening, I'm opening, I'm opening, I'm opening, I'm opening, I'm opening.
Yeah. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Susan Niedt, and I'm a practitioner here at the Center, and I welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Living, Princeton. Everybody say yes.
Yes.
That's just that kind of day. We say yes to good.
Yes.
So we are a loving, healing, inclusive community that teaches and practices the principles of the science of mind for the spiritual growth and well-being of ourselves and the world. That's a big mouthful, isn't it?
Yes.
But we do, and we do it in many loving ways. We have our Sunday services led by our beloved Reverend Karen. We have classes, we have treatments that are available on our website. You can make an appointment with a practitioner at any time, and there certainly are enough of us, so take your pick. And thank you again for being here and welcoming yourself to this day. So, funny thing happened on the way to the forum. I spilled coffee on my skirt. And when Reverend Karen was doing her treatment and she's saying, don't think those thoughts, and I'm thinking of, all I'm doing is sitting there thinking of the stain on my skirt. And it just was like a breath of fresh air, you know. Is that what I really want to think about while I'm sitting here in service? So, speaking of the service, a few weeks ago, Reverend Karen was speaking from the book by Bitzer, and she was speaking about being specific. So I'm going to tell you a little story about that, which I shared with Reverend Karen and a couple people in our workshop this weekend. So if you remember, she asked us to be specific and have fun with it. That was her key word, fun. So Mary, this is the fun time, right? Mary's big wish right now is to have more fun. And what a great wish. So I am doing this treatment that Reverend Karen suggested about bringing in $500 more a month. And I was doing it in fun ways like, I got $500, I got $500. And I'm not kidding. I mean, I really did that in front of the mirror. Mirror work is actually very, very powerful. So about a week later, my husband comes upstairs, Richard, and he goes, uh-oh. There is a mandatory meeting for every single person in the company. Now, our experience with that in the past has been whenever there's a mandatory meeting of everybody in the company's been bought out, people are going to lose their jobs, right? It was a 5-minute meeting. He comes running upstairs. Guess what? Everybody's getting a 5% raise across the board. And the truth is, not counting his bonus structure, that came to about $550 more a month. Woo! So I'm going to continue now for $500 more a month, correct? Yeah.
Of course.
So also I want to let you know that next week we're having a light and lovely low-key luncheon. The reason I say low-key is sometimes we just have so much fun and we do activities, but because of the rental system with the Masons, they're going to have to be in here at 1 o'clock, and therefore we would have to leave by then. So we're simply going to sit and have loving conversation and a lovely meal. So if you want to contribute to that, please let me know or Mary know. And also just come and sit and have communion with us. So I wanted to share something because the infinite mind does know all, and Reverend Karen's treatment was, wow, right on. Because this week, in this thing called You, the class that is being taught, and you know we have a drop-in availability to that for a mere $19 or $10 if you're a practitioner. And, you know, for $19 you can have a cup of coffee and a donut, or you can go to the movies. I mean, or you can have this wonderful evening with people and learn more about spirit and yourself. So this week, it just so happens that the topic is inner knowing or intuition, clarity, and there's going to be some fun activities around it. But I wanted to share with you, because whether you take the class or not, the quote in the handbook is just telling. Open the gates of your consciousness to the divine presence, and you will be flooded with light. Not you might be, you will be flooded with light. Consciously commune. Consciously. Now remember, we have choice. We can let the unconscious, or whatever the thoughts are, fly around, or we consciously commune with the spirit, and you will receive a direct answer. The answer will always fit you individually, because you are life individualized. And that is a very, very powerful statement. And one of the things that they say about that is, often we are surprised by the flow of good because we aren't being conscious, we're not expecting it. So the invitation is to be more attentive to what's going on in your life. And they say, you might think it's an accident, but think about what seeds you planted, you know, and see what you're manifesting. But it says here in this book, oh no, not Guys and Dolls, just so you say. Okay. When we are feeling oneness, there are no accidents or coincidences. When we are feeling oneness, there are no accidents or coincidences. When we are focused on our more human state, then we sometimes fail to see the rightness of what is happening. Because I'm too worried about the stain on my skirt. So that is just my invitation to you today, to be more attentive to that still, small voice within you, and nurture that by sitting in the presence and listening, and not being so worried about that stain on your skirt, or what's happening abroad, or the virus that is. So just consider that for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great afternoon. And may 12 blessings find you when this service is over.
Whoa! I've never been without, I've never stood in lack. It's only been my thoughts that somehow held me back. That still small voice within me that wants to have it say, close my eyes and listen and let God have His way. I stand before the Holy One when I look into your eyes, reminded of my greatness, of God's complete supply. You mirror what I need to learn, mirror what I am. You are the loving presence, and now I understand. It's in the children's faces, leaves born upon the wind. It's in the gentle traces of loving fingers on your skin. It's the trials and the triumphs, the losses and the wins. It's everything I've ever known, it's all that God has been. Never been without, I've never stood in lack. It's only been my thoughts that somehow held me back. It's that still small voice within me that wants to have it say. I close my eyes and listen and let God have His way. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Good morning. I'm Jon Heron. I'm a practitioner here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Princeton. What a wonderful thing. I love what Susan was talking about, the wonderful treatment that Reverend Karen did, and of course the perfect song that Reverend Rich came up with. So what I was gonna say is changed, because I was sort of changed. So Susan told this story about the $500, and it's funny how this teaching is both a metaphysical teaching and a mystical teaching, right? It's both. There are certain rules that are built into the fabric of the universe, and we can use them, right? This is what Ernest Holmes tells us. And beyond those rules, there's also call it the divine presence, whatever you want to call it. What I've been calling it lately is infinite possibilities. That's my name for God right now, right? When we do spiritual mind treatment, that first step of recognition, I recognize that God is infinite possibilities. Right? In the 12-step program, they say, today is the first day of the rest of your life. I think Science of Mind would say this moment is the first moment of the rest of your life. Infinite possibilities, whatever every moment, you can make a choice. That is the first moment of the rest of your life. And you either make that choice consciously or unconsciously, right? If you make it consciously, you create the life that you want. So Susan was talking about that $500. And I recently had an experience. I also shared this yesterday with some people. So some of you know I'm a theater director, right? And I'm casting a show right now. And so there were 2 nights of auditions, and the first night, some wonderful actors showed up, but the one role that I really needed to cast, because I've directed this particular show before, and I know it's difficult, I was really worrying about. So I'm in the car, I'm about 10 minutes away from the theater, and I'm treating. The perfect people are going to walk in, and I'm knowing that the right person is going to walk in. This is the first moment of possibility, and I realized that I was treating from a consciousness of, I don't have this person. It's hard. I'm not going to find this person, but I'm going to treat and fix that, right? And I caught myself, right? I realized that, no, my belief is, this is hard, I'm not going to get it. And I stopped. And I went, I thought about Jason Mohammed, who spoke here a few weeks ago and talked about, I forget the phrase he used, but it was something like a magic moment, right? A moment. And I dropped all of those beliefs that I had carrying that this was not going to happen. And I went, oh my God, the perfect person just walked in the door. And it was clear as a bell inside of me, just clear as a bell. So I get to the theater, and I'm standing talking to my stage manager, and we were talking about what we hope to have happen at this night of auditions. And we were talking about this one role. And I'm looking at her, and both of us turn and look at the door, and this person walks in. And she said to me, there he is. And I said, yep, there he is. The perfect person walked in. Now, you could say, he came to the audition, he was coming, what does that have to do with anything? In my mind, what really happened was I got clear. And there was a demonstration. The demonstration almost didn't matter. The clarity is what mattered, right? Totally clear. I let go of my belief in limitation about this particular thing. Of course it demonstrated. The clarity is what creates the demonstration. This moment is the first moment of the rest of your life, if that's what you choose. Well, actually, you are choosing. It's the first moment of the rest of your life. What are you choosing? So I learned a really big lesson from that. And it's what I've been thinking about in the result of the talk that Jason Mohammed gave. That kind of clarity. Boy, do we hold on to the limitation, and when we treat or pray or whatever spiritual practice we do, so often, it's not the first moment of the rest of your life. It's all the moments that came before, right? Learning how to allow the new to be there and to let go of the old. Principle is not limited by precedent, right? The truth is not limited by the past. So I wanted to read a short meditation from the Science of Mind that comes from these thoughts. So just take a moment. Be aware of where you are, what the sounds are around you, how you're feeling. Don't need to do anything about that. Just be aware. And if you like, take a nice deep breath. And for a minute, think about the promises that you've made to yourself. The choices that you've made. The promises. And let these thoughts enter into your heart and mind. I shall keep the promise that I have made to myself. I shall never again tell myself that I am poor, sick, weak, or unhappy. I shall not lie to myself anymore, but shall daily speak the truth to my inner soul, telling it that it is wonderful and marvelous. that it is one with the great cause of all life, truth, power, and action. I shall whisper these things into my soul until it breaks forth into songs of joy with the realization of its limitless possibilities. I shall keep the promise that I have made to myself. I shall assure my soul. And so these words are for this divine presence of all the people who are here, all the people who are listening online, for all those who wish that they were here or listening online. The divine promise is always present, always fully present, infinite possibilities in every moment. And since it is infinite, it includes everything, and it includes each one who's here, who is listening, who wishes that they were listening. It includes the whole world. And so infinite possibilities are here right this moment. And I know that each one is choosing that possibility, which is for the highest good of themselves, of the people around them, and of the world. And that highest good is present right here, right now. And so each one is finding an abundance, a truth, fully present in their lives. And each one is filled with joy. Each one is knowing a greater truth. And each one is living a life of health and happiness and abundance. And this is what is present, and it is present now. It is the eternal promise. Each one is accepting that promise and saying yes. And that yes is fully present right here today. And that yes is fully present in the lives of each one. It is a world of yes. That is the truth. And knowing this to be so, I open my heart to receive this fully with great gratitude. I release this to the law. It is done. Just watch. It is done. And so it is.
When I was a boy, on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest, and he would be the Holy One and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. The only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses took the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen still, but now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything is a miracle. I said wine from water is not so small, but it's even better magic trick that everything is here at all. So the challenging things become not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. Holy water was rare at best. It barely wet my fingertips. But now I have to hold my breath, like I'm swimming in the sea of it. It used to be a world half fair, heaven's second rate hand-me-down. But I'm walking where the river's there, 'cause everything is holy now. 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 A questioning child's face and see it's not a testament. Well, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when the church let out, how things have changed since then, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Everything is holy. Reverend Karen.
Okay.
Doctor. Reverend.
Reverend Doctor.
Could be
Doctor to you. Just
Two.
two honorary doctors for the service that I have given our beloved international organization. Yeah, pretty proud of that. Why not? I was treating that I have a doctorate, and it was given to me. So, our talk today, again from Collected Essays of Robert Bitzer, is something that I wanted to speak about last week, but the way everything was going, it forced me to go in a different direction. And now, the way everything is going, leading up to my point, is this direction. So thank you all, and you will know what I mean when I say that I want to focus on this essay called Keep Faith with Yourself. So John's little meditation there, I was like, oh my God, it's just, I refuse, right? I vow to not doubt myself, or I don't know what you said, but I promise. So Dr. Bitzer, and we touched on this before, talks about the necessity of believing in yourself. That this teaching, the science of mind, it is done unto you as you believe. And his teaching is that our thoughts are used by the creative law to create our experience. And so what we believe and what we are choosing to think are being used to create our experience. And so it's clear that in order to really have an effective, successful experience of living, you have to believe in yourself. And you have to keep faith with yourself. So what does he mean? He says, you develop your own consciousness. And being people who are committed to spiritual growth, in the science of mind teaching, that means that we are committed to building our own consciousness. Not just accept what consciousness was given to us by our ancestors, thank you very much, but to actually, thought by thought, build the consciousness that we want to experience in our environment, in our world. It requires us to build it. It doesn't just happen. We have to use focused, directed thinking. He's recommended different spiritual practices, visioning, that magic moment, and early on when we were talking from him, he gave this one example, and it was a spiritual practice I recommended we do. He said, begin to give yourself credit. Have people been doing that? Give yourself credit for what you have built in your consciousness. He says, rejoice in the divine you. Recognize it as a center of power. You are in conscious control and you know it. Good things are coming to you because you know they belong to you by right of consciousness. So give yourself credit. And he says, make a list. Make a list of the good that's showing up in your life and take credit for it. I know you don't do that all the time. I know you don't, because like attracts like, and I don't. So I want to share a story because it really has shook me up. Personal experience this past week of mine. So my whole life, up until I became a minister and started getting divinely guided to move my body in the world, I demonstrated weakness. I have yet to successfully complete one push-up my whole life. So I've gotten physically very active the past couple of decades. And with this teaching, I have been claiming, not a whole lot, but I've been claiming I am strong. I didn't mean physically strong. I meant I am strong. And it can be interpreted by the divine as being strong in who I am, in what I know. Strong in keeping true to my promises, keeping faith with myself. And so I have been saying, and I have been doing the practice of setting my day. I still do that, Regina. I still do that. I write down, I look at what I have to express that day, and I write down. And I've been doing rowing this summer, and I write frequently. I am a good rower. I used to write, I am a good dancer. I used to write, I'm good at this, at that, whatever. But I know that unconsciously, kind of what I was believing was, I am a good enough rower to get by. But I didn't say that in writing down these intentions. I said, I am a good rower. I have said I am strong. I have written, I am able to face what is mine to look at, what is mine to do. I mean, this is all about strength. This is all about a form of being true to yourself. It requires courage, but I've been claiming that I'm following that inner wisdom even when I don't have courage. And so I've been getting stronger in consciousness, definitely. So in rowing, I've noticed the past couple of weeks, something new started happening. When you're in a boat, you have one oar, and you're rowing on your oar is moving the boat forward on your side of the boat. And so there's other people who are rowing on the other side. And so in order to have the boat go in a straight direction, it's important that everyone row at the same strength. And so as I first began rowing, I would hear, which I expected, people, more pressure on the port side. So the port would be the side I'm on. I'm like, they need more port. Yeah, that's me. And I'm like, they're going to get all they got. That's all I've got. But the past couple weeks, the person who is observing has said, more pressure on the starboard side, which is the other side. And I would go, yay! The person in front of me who's on the starboard side would laugh because we know what we're doing. And it means I'm somehow rowing more powerfully than you, and you got to keep up. But what I have said to myself is, no, it's not that I'm stronger than them. Because I really wasn't exerting any strength. I figured I was just efficient. I've rowed a whole lot more than most of the people in the boat, and I just really know how to maximize the oar, its position, and the follow through more than other people. That's the story that I made up. So this past week, I was talking to the coach, who I also discovered is a 2-time Olympian. And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait till she starts talking about the Olympics. And she came in 5th in her 2-woman boat. 5th twice in the Olympics. I've never known an Olympic that I know. I mean, maybe you all have been Olympians, and I don't know because I never asked the question. But anyway, I found it out. I looked her up on Wikipedia. Who has a Wikipedia page? You know, she didn't make it. They made because she's an Olympian. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, so I found that out. So we were chit-chatting about something. I was volunteering for something, and she said in passing, "Well, you're strong." And I heard me, remember our topic is keep faith with yourself. I heard me go, oh, well, she just thinks that because, and then I had to stop myself because she knows. She's an authority. She knows what she's talking about. And she has sat in the boat and watched me for hours. I can't fake it. She knows what I'm doing. She knows if I lift my arms up too high, too low to it. She knows if I'm breathing wrong. She knows I've sat right in front of her. She has watched me extensively, and she's an expert. And she says I'm strong. And I'm telling you, I have to take it as a fact. And I don't know what to do with this information. I honestly am shook up because my story is I can't do it because I'm weak. Even though it's not like conscious thoughts, it's just been, I want to be strong enough. I want to be good enough. That need to be good enough implies, because you can't really expect much from me. And Bitzer tells us that subtle, don't expect much from me is a way we are not keeping faith with ourselves. Listen to this teaching. I am infinite mind, knowing itself. And what I choose to know, the law of creativity creates. We are powerful, creative, inspired beings. We are the sons and daughters of God. Claim our inheritance. Take your rightful place at the right hand of the Father. The banquet is laid before us. Enjoy. What has that got to do with being good enough? Enough. And so there's been this unconscious disparity in me between these great and glorious things that I say in step 1 of our spiritual mind treatments, what God is, the glory of God, da-da-da-da-da, and my step 2, which is always, I am that which it is, great and glorious. And then when I come to the step 3 about the specific directive, and so therefore I am good enough. I am good enough to belong. When I was a singer in the opera, I wanted my voice and what I did to be good enough so the great soloists around me can be able to do what they do and I'm supporting them. I'm not dragging them down. And I want to be good enough in the boat so I'm not dragging the boat down. I want to be strong enough so that I can carry my share of the boat, so I can't let the other people down. I want to be good enough so that I can be equal to that which is around me. And apparently, I'm more than that. So this is as subtle as Dr. Bitzer is. He's really talking about how we really live this teaching and all the little errors that we fall into. It's like his book is like a little fine tuning of how we can live this better. And so as I read it and have these experiences, I'm like, well, what if I really, really, really am greater than I think I am? One of my spiritual affirmations that I developed a number of years ago, and I probably should say more, is I am doing better than I think I am. Because my self-judgment analysis has always been self-doubt, self-criticism. That's the world that I was raised in. That was the environment that was presented to me. Evaluate, look for what needs to be worked on, and don't get a big head. God forbid you should get a big head, get conceited, right? And the thing is that Dr. Bitzer makes clear it's not about conceit. He's got an essay in here. Let's find it. Confidence without arrogance. And so he says, the science of mind stresses the importance of self-confidence and that we must learn to depend on a principle that will never fail us. So again, that self-confidence is with the capital S, self-confidence, and the principle that will never fail us. And so all feelings of inferiority have to be negated, erased. But at the opposite end of this mental spectrum, you find the individual who is overconfident and becoming arrogant. And how can students of the science of mind be overconfident? By presuming to be that which they have not yet unfolded the ability to be. So, when we are treating for something more, we know to take all that goes with it, but we also have to cooperate with all that, the way that we are guided into becoming it. And that's something that it's easy for Science of Mind students to bypass. I want to be, a Pulitzer Prize winner, but I really don't feel like learning how to write better. But we do. I remember when I was treating in this teaching, my first goal was, one of my first goals, my first outer goal was to be an actress. And so I remember I went to Dr. Grayson and I had him treat for me to be an actress. And he did it. And I expected the next morning to wake up and be an actress, even though I was a banker at the time. And in that meeting that I had with him, where I said, okay, magic man, magician that you are, I didn't say that, but that's what I thought. I said, I want to be an actress. And he's like, well, how are you going to pay your bills? I'm like, what does that got to do with what? He should practice his own teaching. What is it? He does a treatment. It'll all just flow. But he was talking about becoming that which I want and unfolding into that which I desire to become. There I was, a banker. I wanted to be an actress. I wasn't acting. There's some becoming that he was sensing I needed to do. And so, in the way he came out was make sure you got enough money, honey, because you got a journey ahead of you. But he didn't say all that. But he said that, and it bothered me because blah, blah, blah. But see, I went into an acting class, and the divine wisdom guided me, guarded me, and protected me. And the first thing that it did to protect me, my frail little ego that thought I was so great, that divine blessed something didn't let me know at the beginning how truly terrible I was at acting. Because if I had known, I would have given up. So it kept me ignorant of how horrible I was the first 2 years of acting classes until I learned. I learned. And I got better. And someone who had been there my very first day and then was out on shows on the road, whatever, for 2 years, came back after 2 years. And so he saw me in my very first class where I did a monologue, a little telephone monologue. And he came back 2 years later, and I happened to be doing another different monologue on the telephone. And he sat there. And during the break, he could not shut up about how great this acting teacher is. To take someone like me and bring out what I had become. It was a miracle. It was a testament to just how good this teacher is. And he couldn't shut up telling me this. And I was like, it was my first clue that I had been bad. And I was like, oh my God, I must have been really bad. Because he couldn't shut up. He couldn't stop. And I knew, I was in this teaching, but I knew, thank you, God, for not letting me know how bad I was. I would never have come back to a second class. And so I did get better. And I did get good enough. So where are your goals, your visions for yourself right now? What is your self-assessment right now? Are you way down at the bottom, no good for anything, and your goal is to just be good enough? But if you've been in this teaching for a while, maybe you've exceeded your good enoughness. Maybe you're better than you think you are. Now, when we believe something about ourselves, it's almost impossible to hear anything to the contrary. And so when I was hearing the coach or the coxswain saying, starboard, press more, port, lighten up, I wasn't hearing, you are strong. I was hearing, oh, you probably have better, more efficient strokes, but when they all get as good as you do, then I'm going to be hearing, you got to be stronger. That's what I was hearing, but that's not what they were saying. Because this person in that, little stray comment that was just thrown out of me said, well, you're strong. And I can't argue. Are you arguing for what you believe to be the not muchness of yourself? And maybe you're like me. You don't want to be conceited. You don't want to have a big head. But I know that as I treated before rowing and before acting and before dancing, I always treat that the divine self within me is the dancer, is the rower. I was so intimidated by carrying this boat that I would treat that the strength of God within me carries the boat, because I believed I wasn't enough to carry it. And I've been noticing the past couple of weeks that when it's time to lift the boat out of the water, I just, and I can carry it with one hand. How did that? And I'm thinking, well, everybody else is taking all the weight, thank goodness. And I'm just carrying it with one hand. But maybe I'm strong. Maybe you're strong. Maybe you're better than you think you are. Maybe your self-evaluation is not keeping faith with yourself, capital S self. If any of us has been treating to be an I am that is greater than what you have believed yourself to be, well, maybe it's demonstrated and you don't know it. Maybe it didn't come the way that you thought. Maybe, you just haven't been paying attention. But maybe you're just hearing your excuses of your old self that just haven't gotten eliminated, it's just what I experienced. And so he's right. He knows what the man knows what he's talking about. Keep a list. So as I hear you are strong, as I'm hearing starboards press stronger, ports lighten up, it didn't make my list. But I've done the work. I've done the spiritual work. And I've showed up at done the physical work. I did what needed to be done. Why can't I claim it? I don't know. Because if I realize I'm strong, then, oh my gosh, you cannot even imagine how many false beliefs about myself, about life, about my body, about age, how many of those things have to get re-examined? Right? So, he tells us, he's got advice. He says, right, to avoid the arrogance, you can be whatever you want to be, provided you qualify yourself to be that. And we qualify ourselves spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and in the world. He says, in order to be an opera singer, you would have to provide the voice and personality that could handle the opera. If you desire greater wealth, you must equip yourself mentally with the consciousness of great wealth. A tremendous mental equivalent must be acquired by your thought. And here we are, $500 each month. And I know for every one of you, as you advance $500, at a certain point, you're going to go, whoa, 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 whoa. A greater consciousness of wealth has got to be acquired by me. I need to learn how to handle all this money, and I don't want to. I don't understand investments. That's the weak thinker in us, right? But if you've been brought to it, you got to go there. He said, whatever you want to be, you have to equip yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically to be it. He says, we want to get rid of this belief. See if you say this to yourself at all. You can't expect more from the poor dear. Oh, I got some people going, no, 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 no. Good. Do what I say, not what I do. So, his advice. The easiest way to keep out of your mind and experience those ideas which you do not want to express is to be definite and consistent in thinking what you do want and to work to that end. So again, maybe I believe I'm weak, but I wasn't focusing on I am weak. I wasn't thinking, don't think I'm weak. I didn't even really, I just figured it was a given. And in these days, what part of your physical body is a given anymore? Because apparently we can change everything. But so keep up with the times. So the thing is that you don't have to address that false belief, I am weak, if that's what you've got, unless you're guided to do so. But what you can do is focus on what you want instead, which is I am strong. And so somehow, without realizing it, by focusing on I am strong, I am a good rower, I am happy, I am feeling good, I'm good in my body, I am healthy, all these things that I write down every day, I'm building, right? Building a consciousness of myself. And it worked. A positive image of your successful self automatically dispels any negative suggestions that might come to you. You are not held accountable for what you do not think, but you are responsible for what you do think and accomplish. So, in final, the science of mind is the art of thinking correctly about yourself, your ability, and life, so that what you do expresses fully what you know. And so we we unearth and reactivate the necessity for keeping that list of what you have accomplished, because it's building trust and faith in yourself and in that divine self, that all this treatment, all this spiritual work, it's producing results. Get with the program. Start believing it. If you've been treating that you're confident, then you are. If you've been treating you're decisive, then you are. If you've been treating that you're moving forward, then you are. And now, if that is what you are doing, you're free of having to treat for that, because that's who you are now. And then it shows up in your world. So I got a lot of thinking to do. And the spiritual practice that I think really unearthed all this stuff was I had started writing down what was bothering me. I had a couple of sleepless nights the past couple of weeks, and so I woke up when I was awake, usually around 3 a.m. or something. I'm like, okay, well, you could just sit here and, be in this vague uncomfortableness, or let's get out a pen and paper and sit down and write what's on your mind and just dump it out there. And so the truth has been revealed, and more shall be revealed. And what's getting revealed is I'm doing better than I think I am. And so are you. Believe in that part of you that responds to your conscious choices more than the part of you that's just blubbering around. And because that's what's happening. You are changing. We are changing. You can't be here today. And everyone here in this room and everyone out there, except for our new person, Arvind, hello, welcome. But you're on a spiritual journey too. So the thing is that you've shown up more than once. You're already doing better than when you first came. It's a given. Accept it as done. Now, take credit for it. And say to yourself, there's two ways to say it, right? That which has brought me this far shall take me the rest of the way. Or, that which I am has brought me this far, and I shall go further. So having those thoughts, let's move forward. Reverend Rich is ready to sing something more. Take us away.
There's a reason for the sunshiny sky. There's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when the love light shines all around us. So let that feeling grab you deep inside. Can't you feel it? Where your love can't hide and you're stealing through the moonlit nights with your lover. Well, let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the sparks of dreams, and let your love show. You know what I mean, it's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love find all living things, and let your love shine. You know what I mean, that's the reason. There's a reason for the warm sweet nights, and there's a reason for the candlelight. Must be the season when the love lights shine all around us. You'll let that wonder take you into space and let you thunder. It's love in embrace, and let me feel the thunder as it warms your face. Can't hold back. Well, let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love shine with the sparks of dreams, and let your love show. You know what I mean, it's the season. Yeah, let your love shine. You know what I mean, that's the reason. Yeah, let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow. With the sparks and leaves, and let your love show. You know what I mean, it's the season. Well, let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love find you all living things, and let your love shine. You know what I mean, that's the reason.
Okay, so
Thank you, Susan, for
yeah,
the inspiration.
the inspiration. So let's relax, take a breath. We don't have to work that hard. We're already there. So this word is being spoken for each one. This one great I am that I am has been declaring its I amness in, through, and as each one's own personal declaration. And so every positive and wonderful statement in using the great name of God, I am, that each one has ever given, is still in the law and is still being created and producing something beyond what has gone before. And so each one is more loving. Each one is healthier. Each one is happier and more powerful and more inspired. And each one is making progress. And that progress is showing up in all sorts of ways on all levels. And each one is now open to seeing the progress, to seeing the increase, to seeing the improvement that has occurred by right of the work that each one has done in consciousness. Each one is, yes, enough. And each one is more than enough. Each one is a creation of the divine. And the divine needs each one to express itself. And the divine is equipping and supporting each one in that expression of itself. And each one is the right one at the right place. Each one is all that the divine needs him or her to be to express its greatness and its glory in the world. Each one is all the good things that he or she has ever claimed to be. It is already done. And each one sees the results of what has been done in the realization of what he or she truly has become. I am grateful this is the truth. I release this word to the law. It's already done, and so it is. That's the way it is.
Let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of trees, and let your love show. You'll know what I mean, it's the season. Yeah, let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love find you all living things, and let your love shine. You'll know what I mean, it's the season.
And we're done. We are done. So thank you all for being here. And don't let those people outside intimidate us. I know, they're having a party. So we're here. So I'm glad you're all here. Hello, Tina, Craig, and Arvind. Yes, 812 State Road is where our office is. So we're not there right now, so sorry. We're at 345 River Road. And you park and then walk around to the back. That's how we enter. So maybe we'll see you next Sunday. That's cool. Joe, hello, good to see you. Debbie, Margie. Okay, we're all here. All right, time to say goodbye. Goodbye. See you next week. Omnipresent. Omnipresent.